Hello, Gochapaa community. I hope you guys have been keeping well. It's been a while since we did this format of our podcast. And today we are happy to have Mr. Shelby Solomon. Do you prefer to be called Shelby or Solomon?
Solomon is better. Thank
Yeah, so in the street, in Nairobi street, we would call you Solo.
Solo or Professor S.
Or Prof, yeah.
Professor S. Like
Professor.
X.
Yes, Prof S.
But the black version, eh?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah. Welcome to our Gochapaa community.
Asante sana, Karani.
Yeah. So I had a chat with Solo a few weeks ago, and I was amazed by the depth of knowledge he has in AI and blockchain. So I thought it's good to have him here share a bit of that with our community. Karibu sana again.
Asante sana. Or Asanteni sana. So thank you, Gochapaa community, for having me. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast today. I'm Dr. Shelby Solomon Darnell. I have a PhD in computer science. My master's is in artificial intelligence. I've been doing blockchain research and development since 2016. I have a few patents in that area. And so I started talking to Karani and his other colleagues, and we decided to have a talk with the community. And I was asked to share some of my knowledge, and I said, "That's why I got a PhD. I'm a professor. I need to share. I need to share knowledge. Let's do it."
Yeah.
So I've been in Kenya for about 7 years. I am a researcher at University of Tennessee in Memphis, Tennessee. I think that city is like 60% black. And what do we call it? I'm the father to, I'm Baba Masharia or Baba Washira or Baba Mwaniki.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. How has it been the 7 years you've been here?
Well,
any culture shock you got when you got here?
No, I was heartbroken when I got here. So I'll explain. When I first arrived and I was getting a Safaricom SIM, I went to Safaricom shop in Junction Mall, and they were playing contemporary Christian music in English. And I said, "This ain't Africa. This can't be Africa.
Yeah.
This place feels like it's still colonized." And it hurt me in my spirit. And I started laughing out loud like a crazy person. But let's see. The biggest culture shock was really just seeing black people everywhere doing everything.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm from Alabama, and I when I went to university, there was a young white man who came up to me and told me that he's honestly scared of black people. However, he's not scared of me because I speak so well, and he thinks I'm even smarter than he is. So, I come from a space where there's white people everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And when I've come here, just seeing black people doing everything, and being able to witness the level of competence without the same level of resources, has been a welcome culture shock, we'll say.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's dive a little bit on what you've been doing around AI and blockchain. What have you been up to?
Okay, so what I've been up to, so initially I was working on building a identity-based system on the blockchain to make it so that refugees and people who don't have a lot of access to resources can own their identities. And we wanted it so that a person could own their identity and share a portion of their identity wherever and however they wanted to. And that didn't take off. I was with IBM Research at the time. That didn't take off due to political reasons.
Yeah.
And lately, I have been working on, now it's the age of LLMs, or large language models, which is really...
Large language models.
Yes.
No, I think that's the first time I've heard of that term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or let's say ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Generative artificial intelligence?
Yeah. I'm quite familiar with language models in particular.
Oh, really?
But not come across large language models.
Well, so what happens is these large language models are referred to as large because of the number of parameters. So let's say ChatGPT has billions of parameters.
Yeah.
Right. So it now the way you can interact with it with natural language is very comfortable, and the answers it gives back seem like they've come from a human. So because of that, that changes the game of, let's say, expert systems of different types of interfaces of even how people access knowledge.
Yeah.
So one of the things we look at as researchers, as professors, is how teaching works, right? And then one of the things we look at as scientists is, will the work I do, can other researchers use the work I do? And can the common person use the work I do? Now, if that's true on both fronts, then you've done good work.
Yeah.
And then you also need to ask, would people want to use the work that I'm producing, right? And that's always a difficult thing to do.
Yeah. Let me take you back to identities, just briefly.
So,
I personally think with the rise of AI, we could have a crisis of identities. I mean, with deep fakes and personation and all that. Well, what do you think?
100%. So, the ability that computers have to generate false information is exceptional, right? So, one of the things you do when you let's say doing database research, or when you're starting to learn how to analyze large amounts of data, is that you write software to generate fake information.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a table of users or people. So now I'm writing a software to generate people, but this just names, addresses, and things like that. So you can get lists of all these different things, and you can generate something that looks right. Now with artificial intelligence and with this generative AI, it can go deeper. Now instead of just using the list of data or the list of addresses, list of names, we can now look at different features. We can get facial features, we can get voice features, we can get whatever fingerprints can be found online and whatever databases that they're going to be exposed in.
Yeah.
And you can create an entire fake human. And you're going to think it's real if it's interfacing to some type of LLM or some type of large language model like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So you'll ask it a question and it'll give you an answer back, right? Because it can be trained to understand or to know a certain amount of information. So now you can generate an entire person and their entire life story, right? In a persuasive way. And we're going to have policy against it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and talking of policy, recently we saw a story by, the happenings are in local government where an organization called WorldCoin was banned. The activities were banned because of privacy concerns. Do you think we were having the wrong conversation? Because, going through their white paper, especially on identity, they're using a concept called zero knowledge proof to solve the issue of misrepresentation. Yeah. Do you think we are having the wrong conversation of saying these guys are not taking care of our data?
No. That was totally
stop the activities.
No. The whatever Kenyan ministry put a stop to WorldCoin was absolutely correct. So I went to their site, started reading up about them, and it was speaking about zero knowledge proofs, and then it was trying to give a description of how they work, and it didn't give a description of how they work. It just gave a description of how you prompt to try to get information from it. And that's a very different thing about how it supposedly works and how it keeps your information secret. See, these zero knowledge proofs and this different cryptography techniques, they're very mathematical, right? So we can simplify math and we can explain a simplification of the thing, but when we completely gloss over it or don't include it, then that means these people are trying to be shady. So, but also you have, I studied biometrics for 2 years. I have publications in biometrics. Biometrics is how to scan fingerprint, how to scan iris, face, things like this, right? So now, when I was reading about how you're looking into their sphere, their globe, or whatever demonic type of cartoonish evil thing they had up there, it's getting your iris code. Right? And they're saying that they're not keeping the image of your iris, they're just keeping the code.
Yes, and they're using that to generate an identity, a cryptographic identity.
Yes, but what happens is, if they have complete access of your iris code, it doesn't matter whether they have access to the image of the iris,
Yeah.
because the iris code is what you need to do the identification. Right?
So it's a valid concern.
It's an extremely valid concern. Whoever made that call,
Yeah.
it pleasantly surprised me.
Great. Let's switch to blockchain specifically, and talk about something that we're really passionate, especially in Gochapaa community, financial inclusion. So often we hear that Africa is very rich with resources, but we are among the most financially excluded population.
100%.
What do you think blockchain has to play in filling that gap?
How is blockchain going to fill the gap?
Yeah. Any role, any chance that blockchain could help?
Yeah. So what happens is there are a lot of Kenyans who are thinking about how to include as many people as possible into with finances, right? Try to help them with finances, and it's not just Gochapaa that's focusing on financial inclusion. It's several different startups in this Nairobi since I've been here. Now there's a friend and / colleague of mine who has a company called Melanin Solar, and so he has created his own token, and he's trying to make it so that let's say out there in upcountry, in the villages or whatever else, you can have some solar panels. The solar panels are powering some small machines that are generating or that are mining coins. And now,
interesting.
These coins go to the community, and so does the energy, and the energy can also go to the community. But the community can sell the energy or sell the coins for real money. So now he's focusing on making his coin more valuable, right? So I'm trying to support that effort.
That's amazing.
Then there's another company called Karani
Karani Pay.
that's trying to do that's doing financial inclusion. They've been doing it for several years. They just keep pushing, keep trying to improve their product, right? So I know and all of these two things are specifically on the blockchain because it's democratizing information, it's democratizing ownership, and it makes it so that people can't put a stop to what you're trying to accomplish, right? So now when you have a distributed token, when you have a distributed token, you're running your network on all these different computers, right?
Correct.
And the more people are running your network, the less likely it can be stopped. So now, historically, European countries and the West have been stymieing what Africans can do concerning finance.
Sure.
And when we have a distributed system that controls our money, instead of using their centralized systems to control our money and our resources, our time, and our efforts, then we're going to unlock. It's part of what's going to awaken the African sleeping giant.
And I think we're having that conversation, especially in West Africa.
There we go.
Whatever is happening.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It's making me happy.
Let me talk about the role of government and policymakers in pushing for adoption and leveraging these technologies. In 2019, we had a task force here, which was formed by the government to look into AI and blockchain. And I believe that report is gathering dust somewhere.
It is.
And I remember one of the topics I saw in one of the local dailies is government to regulate AI and blockchain. That is after that report came out. And I'm like, is government all they can do, just regulate AI and blockchain? What do you think? Our institutions, especially public institutions, can do with blockchain?
So what the public institutions can do, they can't control the blockchain. However, they can control what kind of blockchain companies, how they interact within the country. Right. So if you have a company like WorldCoin coming in and taking people's data and enticing them with some type of remuneration. And it's really the way they get this money. It seems too good to be true. So, it most likely is. things like that you should definitely put a stop to. Now, if you have another company like some of the fintechs that we've mentioned, including Gochapaa, who are trying to help the least among us, then just make sure that they're following certain rules and regulations, and they should be able to operate, right?
Yeah.
There should just be handlebars or around the usage of blockchain and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I feel they need to have the government also in not just a protection of the users' interest, but also fostering an enabling environment for startups and innovators like us to flourish.
Yes, the government should very much put some money behind certain things, right?
Yeah.
It's always interesting to see how African governments work. They still work a bit too much where everything's trickle up. The trickle up economics, right?
Yeah.
And it's painful. And what the financial inclusion and blockchain technology are doing, or what people who are working on financial inclusion with respect to blockchain technology are doing, especially Africans, is going to help stop that drain from the common man. It's going to help stop some of the trickling up and make it so people can live a little bit better.
Yeah. You're in academia, right? And do you think we are propping up our young people to know about the opportunities in AI and blockchain enough? And where should we start? How should that pipeline look like?
Unfortunately,
because I don't think there's any public university which has, for instance, a course in AI or blockchain.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the universities, or the university that I've dealt with, they're more concerned about politics and political favors than they are about educating students.
Yeah.
Right? So now, when you try to size up Kenyans who get degrees in computer science against Americans or Europeans who get degrees in computer science, the Kenyans do not match up well. Right? Yeah. And that makes it so that their understanding of things is very low quality. So even those who are supposed to be best equipped to tackle a problem, let's say they get good grades at an institution that's more political than it should be.
Yeah.
Then what do those good grades really mean? Does it mean they have a great understanding of what they're doing? Or does it mean that they just have an inflated ego about themselves, right? For no really good reason?
Yeah.
So we have to develop a better pipeline. And it doesn't look like we're going to be able to change the educational institutions. So it goes back to your earlier point of what can the government do to help with financial inclusion.
Yeah.
So if the government is doing things like giving money to the Gochapaa community or to Gochapaa so that they can do more outreach in different universities and giving more money to, or giving money to other similar type entrepreneurs and companies, then I believe that would work better than worrying about trying to do it through universities, because unfortunately I found myself disappointed with how our universities are doing technology.
We are doing. I'm pretty sure, especially for us who've gone through the system. And more so if you are in tech-related field, you'll definitely have dissatisfaction how the institutions are not able to catch up with the current happenings.
Yeah, but the blessing is Africans are geniuses. We're smart and we're driven, and we'll find it out on our own. Now, sometimes we need mentors to help us on our way. However, at least I'm very thankful that there are so many people like yourself and others in this Gochapaa community that are going to, not wait for the universities to teach them. In fact, as a student, I actually never waited for instruction. I was always 3 or 4 chapters ahead of my teacher.
Being proactive.
So I was always figuring things out on my own.
Yeah.
I would have to teach people in my class, even when I was in university, because I was always trying to be ahead of the game, because I couldn't trust people to teach me what I needed to know.
And that's what I normally see, especially with techies here.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in as much as they are challenges, especially with our education, with the policies in general. Guys are working on amazing stuff here.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome. I think we can have this conversation for a long time, and we'll definitely have another session maybe another day.
Right.
But for today, thanks Solomon for coming to our Gochapaa community.
Well, thank you, Karani, and the Gochapaa community. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. I'll be here.
Yeah.